Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. I hope you enjoyed what you've seen there. If you'd like to join us where you just seen, you can interact with us virtually during this very special broadcast by clicking the link I just put over. And it looks like our audio is working great. Looks like we're coming through good. The link I put right over in the Darkwolf's Den Show chat is we are running the only one chat channel tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the National Anthem. Thank you. If you would remain for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's get this party started, folks. How? Yeah, that's right.
What's the truth?
Sorry about that.
In this riddle,
audio issue there.
is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion. I'm lost in wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion?
Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right. We're ripping through the electromagnetic soup. We're tearing through the atmosphere, and we're tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, January the 27th, 2022. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we, of course, are going over the great state of mystery of New Mexico, as I expect this state is going to have quite a bit of paranormal to choose from, and we're going to dig into all that paranormal and much, much more here in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and see who all we have over here in the Darkwolf's Den Show chat room, as unfortunately CommieTube has decided that they are not going to let AJ stream on his channel, so we're only on the Darkwolf's Den Show channel tonight. I hope you guys are doing good. Who all do we have over here with us? Let's take a look. We have quite a few of you guys over here tonight. Like I said, AJ's channel, YouTube decided that he doesn't deserve to stream anymore because they didn't like something he streamed on last Saturday, I believe it was. So he's no longer streaming for this week. They give him a 1-week ban. He's earned himself a Medal of Honor. So proud of you over there, AJ. I haven't earned that badge of honor just yet myself. But Sandy B checking in over on CommieTube, YouTube, says, "Hi, Michael. It was a great program last night. Go back and watch it." Glad you guys enjoyed it last night. Sloppy McFloppy, I like the name, says, "Hi, Jerry." Hi, Sloppy. Glad to see ya. Michael Fontaine checking in. Will later today or so, he says, about rewatching the show. Rippin' Rabbit himself, Mr. AJ over in the chat. I did go ahead and toss you a wrench, AJ, as I didn't realize that you did not have one. Who else do we have over here? Earth Daughter checking in. JoJo's checking in. Raider Champion checking in. Man, Danny Mull checking in. JoJo says WTF, hashtag FYT, but that's okay, guys. I've just dropped a link over here in the chat room. It's goous.net, GOOS.net/DWD. Now make sure you put this all in lowercase letters. I learned the hard way, folks. It will not go where you are trying to go if you do not. But if you just click the link there over in the Darkwolf's Den Show YouTube channel, I see quite a few of you guys hanging out over here. Let's go ahead and check in, see who we got here. Looks like the screen is down at the moment here, but usually we have the screen up showing the show. We got quite a few people checking in over here. Salvadoria, looks like we got Magic Man over there running the show. We got Marbled Teal. Who else we have over here? Let's see here. Got quite a few of you guys, and I'm loving seeing it. This is a fun little virtual world to roam around in and play in and watch the show and interact with us live. So if you want to interact, guys, this is a virtual broadcast. Go over to the ripinrabbithole.com. That is RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. Right at the very top right hand corner, you're going to find DarkWolf's Den Show is virtual tonight. So click on that, come on over, and check us out. I don't know why. Oh, I think I might know why it's showing what it's showing, because we're in here at the moment. So let's go ahead and go back to our screen here, and let's see who else we have over here. Nobody new joining in. But I'm glad to have every one of you guys along for the ride. Once again, we are not streaming on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole YouTube channel tonight, as the commies have decided he don't have a platform. But it's so good to see you guys hanging out over in the DWD show, and check us out over there in the virtual den on GOUS.net, link we have over in the chat. Once again, GOOS.net/DWD, all lowercase. And whether you are joining us on YouTube or around the world on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the ripinrabbithole.com, or over on BitChute or Rumble on the replay, we appreciate having every last one of you guys along for the ride. That's right. Whatever network you're on, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to us over there on the alternative platforms. But, I was speaking with AJ earlier about this situation with this horrible, pathetic excuse for a social network that we're on here. He may not be doing shows over on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole this weekend, as he's going to double down on some projects and see what we can do to start building elsewhere than this communist-based, censor-filled platform is. I think, like most of you guys, I'm almost done with this platform myself. I would advise everybody to go check out alternative platforms, and we've only got a month or so until Truth Social comes online. So in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you can find our work over at the ripinrabbithole.com, and AJ is going to take a little hiatus, and we'll be back next week to announce what he has been able to accomplish in that time. Speaking of time, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to get this episode started. So before we do dive into the rabbit hole of the paranormal, we have two more fun little segments we must do. The first of which we call Today in History. On this day in 1926, physicist Erwin Schrodinger publishes his theory of wave mechanics and presents what becomes known as the Schrodinger Equation in quantum mechanics. That's right. Also, one of my favorite Schrodinger things, I guess you guys know, is the Schrodinger's cat experiment, right? Is it dead or alive, or is it both? Well, that's based on Schrodinger's equations works, and that was done on this day in 1926. And that is today's segment of Today in History. Say what? Our quote of the day today, ladies and gentlemen, comes from Mr. Nelson Mandela himself. He says, and I quote, "It always seems impossible until it is done," end quote. And that is a quote I actually have to agree with from personal experience. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is today's segment of Say What? Definitely wise words to live by, folks, from a man whose time outlived itself, right? Carries on through the generations. And speaking of generations, there have been many generations of people in New Mexico, and along those generations, there's been many reports of cryptids. And here to tell us about these cryptid creatures tonight, ladies and gentlemen, once again, is our friend Ben Miller. Welcome back, Ben. What do you got on your list? Any surprises in New Mexico, my friend?
I have to be honest with everyone and say that New Mexico doesn't really have many unique cryptids. That isn't to say that there aren't a lot of cryptids. It is just that many of them fall into the usual categories we're all familiar with.
Okay, so don't expect nothing groundbreaking tonight. No surprises, if you will. But what do we have to choose from?
We do have evidence of a certain type of cryptid that I do love to talk about. So, let's start with that one.
That don't sound like a bad idea, my friend, but you've got a couple that you enjoy talking about quite a bit. Which one is this?
In south central New Mexico, there are tales of a rather odd being that is similar to one found in Cornwall of the UK. Whereas they have an owl man, here in this state is simply a large owl that is known as Big Hoot.
Again, you got to love the names these local places give these creatures. Big Hoot. I like that one. Let's see how much of a hoot that it is.
There are many legends about this being coming from the Apache lore, in which they reference it as being an evil bird. Descriptions of it sound exactly like an owl, but it does have the distinct characteristic of standing between 3 and 5 feet tall. And rather than hooting, it makes a humming sound. According to legend, it possesses the ability to be able to paralyze human beings simply by staring at them.
Hey Ben, haven't we heard that before in another creature?
This feat isn't lost on me, since many claim Mothman can do the same thing.
Yeah, that's it. Mothman, that's the one.
Where things really get odd is that it's said once a human has been paralyzed, the bird then attacks and swallows the person whole.
That's gotta be one big bird to swallow a person whole, right? It depends. Were they an American? I mean, there's a whole different diet if we're talking about American people, right? They can swallow an American whole. That's a really big bird, right? But in all seriousness, this definitely does sound like a very creepy and scary creature, as it can paralyze you, and then once you are pretty well frozen still as a statue, it just swoops in literally and eats you, all pun intended, right?
While this all may sound strange, it should be noted that the Iroquois also mentioned a man-eating creature known as the Flying Head, that after reading the description, sounds a lot like a giant owl.
And I have said it 1,000 times, and I will say it 1,000 more. I'd take the reports of the Native Americans a lot more seriously than I take other reports. I believe the Native Americans weren't speaking in hyperbole or legend at all. I personally think they were telling us exactly what they were looking at. Now you've got two Indian tribes who have, or Native American tribes, who have independently agreed with each other on the description of this creature and what it does. And that's not the only ones who have encountered this creature either.
Early settlers frequently reported seeing a creature they called the Booger Owl, and it was known to frequently fly off with their livestock.
The Flying Head is what the Iroquois called it, and now we have the Booger Owl. I'm telling you guys, you gotta appreciate the names if nothing else, right?
If things couldn't get weirder, apparently there is a well-documented sighting from the 1950s in the area of Taos.
And of course, Taos has its own little set of mysteries, as some say it has a vortex there. Others know about the Taos hum that only a certain portion of the population in Taos can seem to hear, but those that it can affect, it seems to affect heavily and drives some of those people literally out of their minds. So already a strange location where this creature is being spotted to begin with.
A woman named Rosa M. Lucero was staying with her grandmother named Elena Bustos Lucero when she...
Man, am I glad he's the one pronouncing those names and not me. Ladies and gentlemen, for those just joining us, if you would like to check us out, we have a virtual stream going this evening. A lot of us over here. I love seeing so many people over here interacting in the virtual den. This is just a temporary den right now that we've put together or had put together here. And we will be getting a much more adequate space as time goes on, but I hope you guys are having fun. If you want to get to this area and hang out with us, it's really, really easy to do. It's like the backstage lounge, a nice little chat area, but on steroids. You can watch stuff together, and that's where some of them are back there watching the show. It's on goous.net/DWD. I've got the link over here in the chat. It's GOOUS.net/DWD. But once again, do remember that it's got to be lowercase. Once again, I learned that the hard way. Pretty random names it gives you going in. You can change the name. You can change your avatar. You see a multitude of different avatars in here. Really, really lots of fun we're having over here, guys. So come join us as we're trying to get off this communist-based platform, and this is one of the beta testing things we've been working on in the background, folks. So come help us beta test tonight at goous.net/DWD. That's right.
When she noticed a large 4 to 5 foot tall owl pacing back and forth between some willow trees near their garden. The creature kept walking around, all the while staring directly at the two women. Her grandmother feared that this creature was actually a being known as a nagual, which is a shapeshifter, since she never saw an owl as large as this one.
And here's a type of cryptid that we don't get pretty much very often at all, is a shapeshifter. Ben, I thought you said these were common cryptids. These are anything but common, but shape-shifting creatures and animals is not your normal run-of-the-mill cryptid feature, right? Let's see how much more strange this case file gets.
The pair started praying for their safety, and eventually the creature moved on. Oddly enough, there are actual remains of a similar type of owl found in Cuba.
Wait, you're telling me that in Cuba these things really existed at some point or another?
These birds were around 3 feet tall, and were so large that they mostly walked around since they could only fly for short distances. Is Big Hoot a relative of one of these species?
Well, I definitely would not rule that out, my friend. Are there any more Mothman-type creatures in New Mexico besides Big Hoot, Ben?
You probably guessed that this was coming, but there is evidence that a form of Mothman was known to the native tribes.
That would put Mothman back a whole lot earlier on the timeline than most of us are familiar with in West Virginia. So, and once again, I say many, many times, I trust the Native American lore a whole lot more than I do anyone else's. Let's see what the Native Americans had to say about their version of the Mothman.
While not technically a sighting, in 1961, archaeologists uncovered a Pueblo pyramid-like mound that contained many ceremonial artifacts in the area of Las Lunas. Depicted on some pottery were images of a moth and man hybrid-like being with a proboscis tongue. One is dressed in red, while the other is in brown. A platter was also found that appears to show the same type of being. Of course, there is likely another meaning behind these images, but I am including these since no one is sure what they are meant to symbolize.
Maybe they were talking to moth-like aliens, right? What do you guys think? Mothman encounters on clay pottery? Alien intervention being described on clay pottery, or some other symbolic use? Go ahead and let me know in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat room If you think this is showing a early version of Mothman, go ahead and put a 2 in the chat room. If you think this is showing humans and perhaps alien or some other intelligent version looking like a moth, or put a 3 if you think it's some other symbology that we just don't know or understand.
Keeping with this theme, I almost didn't include this one since it really seems outside of our normal topics. That is, until I read certain characteristics about it. This would be the famed Spring-Heeled Jack frequently seen around London in the 1800s.
Whoa, now I've never heard of a Spring-Heeled Jack case in the United States, let alone in New Mexico. Tell me about this case file, please, sir.
While I am on the fence about what this person was, I found that in the 1930s, people in Silver City, New Mexico, started reporting sightings of a similar being. When confronted, most claimed that they were unaware of the UK version, and this is quite possible, especially since information didn't easily spread from area to area like it does today. I can't find much detail about this, but people said they saw a man-like thing appearing to be wearing a black cape, jumping inhumanly high in the air. Also, it was seen spewing blue flames and its eyes glowed red. I can't help but wonder if they actually saw Spring-Heeled Jack or some other type of being. Other than the blue flames part, I feel it could fit with Mothman sightings or even the fantastic Van Meter monster story. The eyes certainly fit, and the cape could have been wings.
I don't know. It does sound like it has quite a few characteristics of Spring-Heeled Jack. I don't know, man, about being a Mothman. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out, but not quite sure. And speaking of not sure about being a Mothman, what do you guys think of the pottery story? Does it sound to you guys like it was showing a Mothman, or does it sound like it was showing aliens, or did it sound like it was just showing some symbolism that we just don't understand? 1, 2, or 3. Let's see what you guys said over here in the YouTube chat room tonight. Well, before we do get to the YouTube chat room here, we have the Goois chat room up, the DarkWolf's Den Show over here. And we have Scuba Steve says 1, thinks it could be a Mothman report from way long ago. Very interesting, Scuba. Appreciate you throwing your 2 cents in there. Again, guys, goois.net, goous.net/DWD. Come hang out with the rest of us over here in a chat room on steroids, folks. We're having a great old time over here hanging out for sure. But over in the YouTube chat, man, Danny Mall says 3. Definitely not sure about it. Earth Daughter with the 3. Raider Champion with the 3.3. Terry Taggart with the most expected 3. Michael Fontaine with the 3. Sloppy McFloppy with the 1. There we go, breaking up the 3s, but majority of 3s on that one. Not quite what I expected. I see all kind of people over there. These names you guys be coming up with. Scuba Steve, Diane's Boy Toy, Hooded, Merganser, a lot of crazy names. Somebody says, I love this. I'm loving seeing you guys over there having fun. It's such a great time, guys. If you want to come join us, you're not already, just click this link over here in the YouTube, guys. We'd love to have you along for the ride also over there. And moving on to our next cryptid on the list. Hey, Ben, do you have any of those Thunderbirds? I kind of expected there's got to be at least one case of a Thunderbird in New Mexico, right?
This state has had many sightings of large birds flying about, which we would assume would be the famed Thunderbirds. And in other cases, they say they witnessed the Pteranodon.
Okay, I could see a Pteranodon being in that kind of wide open, arid, desert-like space, right?
However, in a strange twist, many in the cryptozoological world state that people are seeing neither of these, but rather an equally fascinating and thought to be extinct bird known as a teratorn.
I like his wording there on thought to be extinct, right, folks? Because as we know, there has been a lot, and I mean a lot, of Lazarus animals recently. And I say recently, in the last 4 to 5 years, we have seen a large number of creatures that have come back to non-extinction classification, if you will. These things hadn't been seen in 50, 20, 75, hundreds of years. And all of a sudden, yeah, hey, we found one. Surprise, right? So to say that this could not happen, and this being twice we've proven that the creatures did exist at least some time in history, to say that they couldn't just spontaneously, if you will, come back to life is apparently not unheard of today, right?
These birds were known to exist at one time, and the largest of which is called Argentavis magnificens, or giant teratorn. This being had a wingspan of 23 feet and stood an impressive 6.5 feet tall.
If that hoot could eat you in one bite, this thing would make a morsel snack out of you, right?
Even though their remains were discovered in Argentina, they did enjoy arid climates with mountainous terrain. Now, armed with all that information, sightings of such creatures have been reported since the early 1800s. Yet, for a more recent event, in 1997, a man named Dave Zander from Doña Ana may have encountered such a creature. While hiking in the mountains, he saw 2 large birds perched on some rocks. Even though they were quite a distance away from him, he claimed that they were the size of a small plane. As he watched, one of the pair dropped off of its perch and soon after opened its massive wings. Zander claimed that he estimated the wingspan to be around 20 feet. In his words, he certainly felt that the bird was large enough to fly away with an adult, if it wanted to. After reading some books, the only thing that fit with what he saw was a teratorn.
Could you imagine running into a 6-foot tall bird with a wingspan of 20 feet? That is gargantuan, right? That is huge. Definitely not a pet that I would want to keep, right? Not something I'd want to run into in a dark alley or even on a dark mesa, for that matter, right? Ben, do we have anything else left on our list of cryptids tonight, sir?
Our last entries are certainly separate stories, but I sort of feel the need to lump them together. This is all due to the fact that when talking about cryptids of this type, and it being in this location, it is hard to discern if it is truly what it sounds to be, or if it is simply the West's most famous cryptid, known as a Skinwalker.
Oh yes, the infamous Skinwalker, one we have touched on a number of times, and it looks like we're going to take a touch on it just once more here in New Mexico.
In saying all that, I'm sure you already know that we have some dogman sightings to go over. Our first story is from the town of Lakewood. In April of 1999, a woman who wished to remain anonymous and her boyfriend were staying in a trailer along with another couple. Over the previous weeks, many of the locals were reporting that some of their livestock had been acting scared, and even some damage to their buildings had been found. Even as such, most assumed that the issue was with wild dogs. On this night, at 11 p.m., the group were in the house just watching TV and talking amongst themselves. Suddenly, their dogs started to growl and bark wildly at one of the windows in the bedroom. The woman and her boyfriend went to check out what was going on, but by this time, the dogs had moved from the window and appeared to be walking along the walls, sniffing as if they were following the scent of something from outside. At one point they stopped and began barking like mad, and it was in this moment that the group heard a bang outside the kitchen window, followed by a shuffling sound. The bang hit hard enough that it rocked the trailer. They ran to the window to see what was making the noise, but couldn't see anything, although they continued to hear the shuffling sound. Not long after, the group happened to look at one of the windows, and to their terror, they saw something staring in on them. She claimed it had to be around 7 feet tall, since the windowsill was 6 feet from the ground. The creature was covered in short hair. It had the shoulders of a man, but the head of a Rottweiler, and it had many sharp teeth protruding from its mouth. All four screamed at this sight, and the mere sound of this appeared to scare the creature off. Inexplicably, the men grabbed shotguns and went outside to find out what the creature was. This venture didn't pan out, and they returned without seeing anything. The next morning, the woman went outside to see if the creature had left any evidence behind, but due to the weeds, nothing could be found other than some claw marks in the house. She did find the tracks left by the men when they went outside, so, out of curiosity, she followed them. To her horror, she saw huge canine-like prints in the dirt that appeared to keep switching from walking on all fours to two legs.
It sounds like we may have a dog man for sure, and that is your cryptids for the state of New Mexico, ladies and gentlemen. And as you guys know, that music means we have to go ahead and take a network break right here. So my name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show exclusively on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Sit back, relax, and we'll be right back with the second half after these messages. Stick around, don't touch that dial.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, Jerry Hicks on a Thursday night. Hi everyone, it's AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying tonight's Darkwolf's Den radio show? I know I am. If you are, and you haven't done so already, please leave YouTube. That's right. I can tell you, we are under guideline community strike number 1, which means our content was removed from YouTube due to a violation of YouTube's community standards. And although we greatly appreciate YouTube, we would like to welcome you to be able to hear exactly what it is that we have to say and see what it is that we have to share with you at rippinrabbithole.com, where you are not prohibited from learning what you decide to be is the truth. Either way, this first of 3 community guideline strikes means that we will not be able to do things like upload, post, like, or comment on any videos. And of course, we are unable to live stream for 1 week starting today. So we have 7-day timeout. Basically, we were put in the corner and asked to shut up. But guess what? We're not going to shut up at all. You can hear our voices loud and strong at rippinrabbithole.com. That's RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. We will return back on YouTube again after this suspension is over, and we will have probably a new format concerning that particular community when it comes to interacting with our community-generated press at rippinrabbithole.com. Truth be told, if you're listening to this on Rippin' Common Sense Radio, you've already hopped on over to the rippinrabbithole.com, and you already know how to find us. I'm excited. It's forced us to accelerate some of our plans and beta test a lot of really new and exciting things. And I can't wait to share them with you. So give yourselves a round of applause for being smart enough to be in our community. I'll return again on air tomorrow night, Friday, January 28th, with a special announcement. You'll want to pay attention and listen closely tomorrow night to Rippin' Common Sense Radio at rippinrabbithole.com. We'll return back to the State of Mystery for New Jersey with Jerry Hicks and the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show. You're listening to the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole.
you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And welcome back to the second half of the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, January 27th, 2022. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, real quick note, I did have a request come in last week to do the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, and or Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. I did look into that. That's going to take a lot more research than I had time to do to put together this show. So that is on my list of shows, folks, and Maggie's Ace, know that that is coming up, and we appreciate the suggestion. All right, moving on, folks, we are going to now dive deep down into the ghosts of the state of New Mexico, as we've covered a number of strange cryptids in the first half, and I can tell you, interestingly enough, New Mexico is the second state that I know that we found, probably the third, but definitely the second that I've not found a haunted university. I tried doing a number of searches and came up completely empty-handed. So this is one of those few states, folks, for those playing at home, that has 0 haunted universities. There we go. But what it does have is a number of other interestingly haunted areas. That's right.
Fort Craig. Fort Craig in Socorro was built in 1854 and plays home to multiple paranormal occurrences, making it perfect to start off this countdown. Visitors to the fort report disembodied whispers, voices from around corners, and the sound of bootsteps.
All three definite signs of an active haunting going on there. The bootsteps being heard, the noises around corners, all audio hauntings in that particular set of events, right?
A translucent figure in Civil War garb can be seen walking the ruins at night.
I'm torn on this one between stone tape theory and lost soul, right? I would say stone tape, considering it's walking the same spot, the ruins, every night.
The Palace of the Governors.
By the way, this channel is the Speakeasy channel over on YouTube, and you noticed I used both of the voices tonight, as I did that on purpose. You see, I've noticed in the chats that Earth Daughter and a couple of you guys over there are talking about how you think these are voice engines, and they very well may be. Maybe voice engine tech has gotten that good, but I figured since you guys were discussing the difference between them the other night, we would go ahead and use samples from both of them tonight. So that is why I am putting the case files in the order in which I'm putting them this evening. Shout out to all you guys. I am watching the chats over there.
The Palace of the Governors in Santa Fe was originally constructed in 1610 by newly appointed governor of the Spanish territory, Pedro de Peralta. With the territory's turbulent history, the palace changed hands many times over the following centuries until finally landing under American control in 1848 after America took possession of New Mexico in the Mexican-American War. When New Mexico was annexed, the palace became New Mexico's first territorial capital. It's recognized as the oldest continuously occupied public building in the United States and now holds a museum, letting visitors take a glimpse at what life was like in the surrounding area throughout its many years.
And I love that at least it is trying to protect the history, but with a building this old, a haunting would be more or less expected, in my opinion. What about you guys?
Local legend claims the premises is quite haunted. Staff, residents, and guests throughout its astounding 4-century existence have reported a wide range of occurrences.
Once again, real quick, folks, if you would like to join us as we are hanging out doing a virtual show tonight, there's two ways you can do it. You can go to the rippinrabbithole.com. The first page that loads in the upper left corner, you're going to see DarkWolf's Den Show is virtual tonight. That's right, this is a thing we are beta testing, checking out. Virtual meeting room. It's like a regular chat room, but on steroids, of course. Looks like people over here having quite a blast. Got Sunda Teal, JoJo's hanging out, Goofface McGee, got the Magic Man. We had a couple people over here earlier. Who all we got hanging out back here in the back? Diane's Boy Toy hanging out way in the back with I'm Not Here. I'm Not Here dancing all around, having a absolute blast, and I'm really glad to see that, and glad to see all you guys over here. Or you can go to GOOS.net/DWD and all lowercase. Once again, GOOS.net. That is GOOS.net/ all lowercase DWD. Interesting. Terry said her phone won't let her, not enough space. So this is running in a browser. That's interesting that it won't let you. There's no download to this. There's no software. It's all browser based. Just come on over, hang out. As you see, they're watching the show over there. We're all watching the show over there. Having a good old time. Quite a few guys helping us beta test this. I do appreciate it, guys, as well as AJ. I know I speak for him when I say we sincerely appreciate you guys coming over and helping us test this out.
Including disembodied footsteps through the rooms and halls, otherworldly voices and whispers drifting through the air, and what appears to be the glow from a ghostly candlestick floating around at night. On more than one occasion, witnesses have reported seeing ghostly soldiers in strange uniforms that they assumed to be people in costume until turning to find them gone into nothing.
This reminds me of a lot of the reports we have heard, especially on battlefields or things of that nature. The caretaker type ghost of the land seems to have those particular features known to them, right?
This has led some to speculate that they may be the spirits of long-dead Spanish soldiers. Also reported here are terrifying disembodied screams and yells, especially at night. They've been reported as so loud at times that they've actually sent those nearby running in fear. Lastly, several have reported seeing shadowy figures slinking around the area even in the middle of the day. And it's reported that they cause those nearby to feel an extreme feeling of anxiety, like they're being closely watched.
Amish Dan strikes again, ladies and gentlemen, the Hat Man, right? Shadowy figures, definitely an active haunting, especially with the overwhelmingly loud screams. Once again, an audible haunting phenomena. Something else we are seeing a lot of, specifically audible hauntings. Let's see what else we have up on the list as we switch back to the other speaker of the speakeasy.
The Rio Grande.
Wait, the Rio Grande, ain't that like a river? You're telling me a whole river is haunted? That's interesting. What do you got?
The Rio Grande starts in Colorado and ends in the Gulf of Mexico and has many strange tales surrounding its banks throughout history. In Las Cruces, locals tell tale of a woman who drowned her children in the river before taking her own life. She appears as a woman in white along the shores almost every night, bringing with her the sounds of humming and crying.
High emotion, high trauma, high chance for a haunting, which we see in this case file so far. I don't believe I would call this stone tape, even though it is a repetitious action. I don't know, most stone tape don't have the audible effect with it. Usually a stone tape is a action being repeated over and over without interaction in the environment. I would count sound being an environmental interaction, therefore I would discount this as a stone tape and more of a either a grief or a punishment that the soul is still enduring. The consciousness is still mourning, if you will. That's at least my opinion.
Las Cruces Railroad Museum. Las Cruces Railroad Museum in Las Cruces is housed in a historic Santa Fe Railroad depot. It was constructed to interpret the railroad history of Las Cruces and the massive impact it had on southern New Mexico, many of the changes still lasting.
If society ever regains its common sense and after that you ever have a chance to ride the rails, I would definitely go for it, as I took a cross-country trip last year and I absolutely enjoyed it immensely. Once again, if you were wanting to do something like that, I would definitely wait until the world regained a bit of sensibility first.
Much like our first listing, the Las Cruces Railroad Museum is another good stop for those with a love of both history and the supernatural. And throughout the years, both staff and guests have reported a wide and sometimes terrifying range of happenings stemming from this old building, including disembodied voices and the sounds of work, the sounds of a large crowd when the building is empty, and extreme cold spots.
So here we have yet again more audible hauntings, but nothing physical except the cold spots. Now, that is an environmental reaction right there. So that does show active haunting, at least to a degree, but it really makes me wonder about the parallel universe theory with those cold spots.
The majority of activity is said to be linked to a multitude of specters still hanging around, and many have reported ghostly men in work uniforms attending long-forgotten tasks, groups of people in old-fashioned clothing waiting to board a train, and even a cluster of translucent women talking and gossiping normally as if they're unaware of their fate, destined to people watch for all eternity.
Now, these seem more stone tape style hauntings, right? Weird that you have these different layers of time trapped on top of each other. Classic stone tape in this particular case file.
Several brave souls have reported trying to approach these wary wraiths, only to watch them vanish before their eyes.
So, non-interactive, just a repetitious activity.
Also reported here are orbs in photographs, shadowy apparitions that roam the area at night, and the very loud, very startling, and very real sound of the whistle of a train.
And I can tell you, having spent a couple days around train yards in my journey last year, those whistles are very unique in their sound, right? There's not a whole lot in the world that sounds like a train whistle, and they are very, very loud. So another audible haunting, something that I should, I guess, have been tracking a little more across these case files, but something that's really sticking out for some reason this evening, right? Let's see what else we have on our lists here.
The Jimez Historic Site. The Jimez Historic Site in Jimez Springs was the site of a 17th century Catholic mission, as well as home to 14th century Puebloan peoples. Visitors to the site report disembodied footsteps, strange lights in the sky, and feeling dizzy or sick.
Now, the strange lights in the sky, that's a little odd for a ghost case, but environmental interaction is the only thing I can think for that, right?
Also reported are the spirits of an entire Native American raiding party, as well as an old priest that haunts the ruins.
This is undoubtedly a incredibly eclectic mix of spirits, to say the least.
The Vargas Street House. The Vargas Street House in Santa Fe is located on the eastern side of the old Santa Fe Trail within the Barrio de Analco Historic District. It is widely recognized as one of the oldest buildings in America. The oldest house to rest on part of this positively ancient foundation was used by the ancestral Puebloans somewhere around 1200 AD, and it's speculated that the site was probably populated long before that and numerous times after. The abode we know today was constructed much later in 1646. Amazingly, it remained consistently occupied until 1920. Local legend states that two sisters lived in the house at the time and practiced witchcraft. After a speedy trial, they were sentenced to beheading in front of the townspeople, and though it's not known who or what haunts these halls, it's suspected that whatever it is was drawn to the residents by dark magic. Staff and visitors to the home throughout the years, especially in recent times, have reported a wide and often terrifying range of paranormal activity, including extreme cold spots to the point of seeing one's breath, otherworldly scraping and knocking sounds, and the feeling of being closely watched.
So once again, you have a lot of environmental interactions, the knocking sounds, the super cold. Now that super cold really gets me. That's got to be a tell for some point of the haunting, right? I don't think that has to do with the spirit crossing over, because it's not in every case file, though it is in a lot of them. Once again, it makes me wonder about the reality crossover points perhaps being colder than they should. That's just a theory, of course.
Several visitors have reported an aggressive spirit suspected by some to be evil in nature, and on more than one occasion witnesses have described what feels like icy hands touching them on the torso, arms, and legs. One story tells that a young man visited the witch sisters who dwelled here for a love potion, and when the potion failed, the man returned with a sword drawn. But the clever witches managed to take it and decapitate him. His spirit is also said to linger on the grounds, a bloody nub for a neck, hands stretched wide, forever searching for his missing head.
Wow, it sounds like the Headless Horseman is a little more real than once we thought.
Lastly, several have reported seeing what they think are the apparitions of the witches, two twisted, black, smoky
One last time, folks, if you would like to come on over here to the virtual Darkwolf's Den over here on GUIS, just go ahead and click the link that I'm dropping in right now if you haven't already. Come on over and hang out with us. We are having a blast over here, guys. I don't know who dropped the wolf in here. Really digging the wolf. I accidentally took a photo of it, so now we got a photo and the actual video. Too cool. We got a video up here of a panda playing, I do believe it is. Cute little red panda there playing. Absolutely adorable. You guys have really found a way to decorate this interesting. You got the cat hanging out here. The cat seems to be enjoying the show with us, telling the owner, hey, the DarkWolf's Den show's on. Hey, you need to turn it on. Check it out. Loving this, guys. So much fun. So many things you can do over here. It's really, really cool. Got the little kitty bouncing around, having a good old time. Once again, if you want to join us over here, it's run right in your browser. It's absolutely free. Like I said, they are having a ball over here, folks. You can listen to the show, interact with each other, and once the show's over, we're even going to get some audio interaction going. So one last time before we hit the end of the show, folks, GUIS.us, GOO, or I'm sorry, GUIS US. Let's try that again. GUIS.net, GOOS.net/DWD. Once again, all lowercase lettering there, guys. Love seeing this. We appreciate you guys helping us beta test this. I've got to get in here and figure out how to drop some of these photos and stuff. This looks so cool. I can't wait to play with you guys in here when the show is over. We're going to be meeting back here, folks. We'd love to see every last one of you guys come back here and carry the conversation on after the show.
Shapes with pale white faces peeking ominously over the roof.
This sounds very, very creepy. If you are going to try to research this one as far as field research goes, I would definitely take with me some spiritual protection, as this seems to have a very dark sense to it. Up next on our list for the haunted places in New Mexico,
The Historic Plaza Hotel. The Historic Plaza Hotel in Las Vegas was built in 1882 and was formerly owned by the esteemed Byron T. Mills.
No, for those wondering, I did not accidentally grab the wrong soundbite. They do mean Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Hotel staff and guests report a wide array of happenings, including drawers opening and closing, lights turning on and off, and phantom cigar smoke wafting throughout the halls.
Now, here we have definite environmental interactions, right? The opening, closing of doors and drawers, the smell in the environment, definitely a more active haunting here.
At night, some report laughter and a dark figure in Byron's old office, where his picture still hangs on the wall.
Perhaps he's still sitting back, watching the world go by and laughing all the way. A lot of interesting hauntings on our list tonight. I noticed a theme of audible hauntings. That's something we're going to have to track more in the future. Once again, unfortunately, strangely enough, we did not come up with a haunted university. What do you guys think about those two being speech engines, though? You think is that what the speakeasy's using, is the male and female speech engine? If so, I'd like to know where they found it, because I've never heard that used elsewhere. Maybe they are real people. I know a guy named Chills has a channel that sounds a lot like that when he reads stuff also. But what do you think, ladies and gentlemen, from the cryptids to the ghosts and everything in between? Do you think we have stumbled upon yet another paranormal state of mystery? Or do you think we're barking up the wrong tree? In the end, ladies and gentlemen, all you can do is look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and you be the judge. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, January the 27th, 2022. That's right. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the den is closing for the evening, and unfortunately, that is the end of the weekend here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio. The Rippin' Rabbit Hole on YouTube is, we have had some issues, and AJ was blocked from streaming for 7 days, as is posted over on the front page of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole, because, well, you know, truth and freedom of speech just don't exist on these horrible communist platforms like YouTube. Such trash over here, it really is. And I'm not sure how much longer the DarkWolf's Den Show is going to exist over here either, but it has accelerated our plans on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Things we had planned to roll out later, we are started playing with now, and let me tell you guys, we may have found a really, really cool workaround for YouTube that, well, it's definitely something that not everybody is doing, and we will be discussing that going forward the rest of the month here as we get ready for our Freedom Flame broadcast coming up March 20th. Don't forget, folks, we are doing a 24-hour Freedom Flame broadcast this coming up year. I personally have never done a 24-hour broadcast, so I am very much looking forward to hanging out in virtual Rippin', and in the DarkWolf's Den. Maybe we'll have our own place over there by then, right? Move into virtual Rippin'. There we go. Anyways, folks, I'm looking very much forward to rolling out all this fun stuff with you guys and all the upcoming events we have planned, because oh man, the things I wish I could tell you guys coming up. But definitely keep an eye on the rippinrabbithole.com for further updates. That is, of course, RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. As well as updates. You're gonna find all kind of fun stuff. Make sure you sign up for your VIP pass. That is absolutely free. We are not charging for use of our site. We just require the pass to access all the rest of the pieces of the site. Once again, absolutely free. Always will be. The other pieces of the site, like the on-air schedule, you can always find us over here at the Rippin' Rabbit Hole, even if we aren't on the other platforms like CommyTube or Facebook, the fake ones over there, or anything of that nature, you can always find us on the rippinrabbithole.com. You can also find us down the rabbit hole. That is our exclusive social media section over there. My personal favorite place to hang out is the 24/7 Backstage Lounge, of course. Over there, you're going to find a bunch of us rabbits hanging out and having an interesting discussion as we do every single night of the week. One of the best places on the internet, at least in this wolf's humble opinion, right? But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get out of here tonight. So on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musco, Walt House, everybody involved in Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, we thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you've been listening to the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay awake, but always dare to dream. That's right. Good night, everybody. Let's get ready to blow that chat up. Let's go, Brandon. That's right. Blow it up over here in the virtual den, too. I want everybody over in the virtual den. Click that link one more time. GUIS.us or GUIS.US. GUIS.net/DWD. GOOUS.net/DWD. All right, guys. You got a lot of pictures in here. Let's see some Let's Go Brandon. That's right. Let's go Brandon. That's right, Bubby.
I'm lost and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here.
FYT.
'Cause no one's ever
FJB. Let's go Brandon. Clap, clap, clap. Let's go Brandon. That's right. Let's go Brandon.
What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her?
There we go. JoJo throwing it into the virtual. Let's go Brandon. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Light it up. Let's go Brandon.
What's the truth in this riddle?
Come on, Bubby.
Is
Come on.
love really just
Come on, hurry. Come on.
this simple?
You, come here.
I can't seem to find my way.
Let's go Brandon.
In this world that never stays.
Say, let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon. Louder.
When the glass is clean, she's
That's right, Bobby. Let's go Brandon.
Hide the lies and the alibis.
Find that Let's Go Brandon again. There it is.
What a sinner. Is it in her?
Why do they do not have?
Let's go Brandon. 1, 2, 3. Let's go Brandon. He don't even know his ABCs. Not you, Brandon. Brandon's lost in the wonderland of delusion. Let's go Brandon.
Let go, Brandon.
Say it again.
Let go, Brandon.
Let's go Brandon.
Or just
Let's go Brandon.
manifestation or a dark delusion?
Let's go
Is
Brandon.
this real or just illusion?
Let's go Brandon. Oh, there's another one over here.
Lost in a wonderland
Got another Brandon meme.
confusion.
Oh, look at that dirt-eating grin. Let's go Brandon. Say it again.
Let's go, Brandon.
Say it again.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
My amazing grandson, folks. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
That's right, folks. I see you over there, Prairie Fire. Michael Fontaine, let's go YouTube. FYT, folks. FYT.
Hi.
Can't believe they did that to AJ. AJ will not be streaming this week, folks, as we work on better alternatives. Come on over, join us, goois.net, lowercase/DWD, and hang out with the rest of us as we, here in just a moment, we'll probably turn the audio chat on and be chatting away. I hope to see you guys there. Until next week's, folks, remember, stay awake, but dare to dream. Let's go.
Brandon.
Brandon, that's right, Bubby.